Hello my fellow Farloom fanatics, this is Primacon and happy 1 year delay anniversary. Is it happy? Is it sad? Are we coping? Are we surviving? Or are we committing tax fraud today? Find out in this video. This day last year is when we got the infamous announcement of, hey gang, we plan to release Silksong early 2023, but development is being continued and expect more details as we approach close to release. So technically that does count as news. So if you are just talking in news terms, it's been 1 year since we got any news from Team Cherry. But if you're talking in terms of actual game updates, it's been 2 years, because ever since we got the Xbox trailer in June 2022, we really haven't gotten anything like game update wise. Unless you count the Valentine's Day, we are still working hard at the game and update. Why isn't the game out yet? Now hear me out, the context is different than before 2023. Before 2023, it was just that they're working on the game and it'll be out when it's ready. But the fact that they were aiming for an early 2023 release, and the fact that it's been a whole year, what could be the possible reason that the game still isn't out yet and we haven't had any updates? Let me talk about the second point first, the reason we haven't had any updates. I think if you follow Team Cherry closely and if you've been in the Hollow Knight community for a long time, that question is actually very easy to answer. If you look at their website and their post E3 2019 blog, they talk about the release. And they say that for Silksong, we're running on cherry time over here. That means both when it's ready and when it matches the quality and scale of Hollow Knight. Just know we will talk about release date when we're 100% sure we can hit it. The last thing we want to do is make promises only to see things slide. For now, we'll continue stuffing all sorts of strange critters and surprises into Silksong. So basically, they already don't like committing to release date and windows until they're 100% ready. It's kind of like their whole thing. And they've already missed one of those. I feel like internally that would have been a huge blow to the developers, like to their morale and just how they feel about it all. I'm sure they feel just as bad about it as we do, because they're just as much committed to not like fake promising any release windows and then delaying the game again and again. So how does it lead to no more updates? Well, it's simple. If they've already missed a deadline that they planned out, they're probably head fucking deep into crunch, all the way 6 feet under crunch. They're probably crunching so hard, harder than they've ever before, because at this point it doesn't matter, you just want to get the game out because it's been already delayed, which was the last thing you wanted as a developer. Not only that, it's been a whole year since it's been delayed, so crunch is probably strong at Team Cherry, which is kind of sad because I really wish they went the Mongoose Rodeo Crowsworn path instead of their Team Cherry Silksong path, by which I mean that let people know that the game won't be out for a long time, but in return you give them a lot of updates. Basically, slower release window, higher updates, easier crunch on the team, and very well managed expectations. I'll get into the whole Crowsworn discussion at the end of the video, but for now, keep that in your mind. But yeah, not only they want the game out as fast as possible, they want it to match the quality and scale of Hollow Knight, as they say right here, right? And they've already missed a deadline, so that's why I believe that we are not really getting any updates from them anymore. But now let's actually talk about the delay and what's taking so long. I asked this to my subscribers on the stream I did yesterday, which was a whole thing. But I asked people that if they think Team Cherry are working on polishing the game, patching out all the bugs and everything, or are they still adding content? And surprisingly, a vast majority of people thought that they're still adding content to the game. At first I kind of agreed with that, but the more I thought about it, the more that didn't make sense to me. If you already had a window that you were aiming for at that point, you were probably done adding content to the game, or very close to done adding content to the game. Knowing how Team Cherry work, it only makes sense for them to have a release window in their mind if they're just polishing the game and patching out all the bugs and making sure there are no exploits and the game runs good on all platforms. So genuinely, I do not think it's reason number one, which is that they're still adding content to the game. The fact that Hornet's voice actor was done adding voice lines for Hornet also way back, I just don't think it's content anymore. So what else could it be? Well, clearly they want to make the game run better, right? They want to polish out all the bugs because Silksong needs to be very polished at launch. It does not have the luxury of Hollow Knight, where Hollow Knight didn't have a lot of eyes on it, and it was only coming to PC, not console, so Team Cherry could patch the game out after it launched and made sure it run very well. In fact, a lot of developers, big developers, still do that, which brings me to my actual reason and my theory on why Silksong is taking so long. It's the ports. Silksong is coming out to every console at once on launch. That's the PlayStation, that's the Xbox, that's the Nintendo Switch. And don't forget, for the Nintendo Switch, Team Cherry had to hire a whole different studio to help them port the game, because porting the game is very difficult. It introduces new bugs and stuff to the game when it's on a different console, and it requires a lot more patching, fixing, and polishing. This Reddit post I found is actually really nice. They say about Team Cherry's decision to release on all platforms day one, and Concerned Ape's opposite decision. Concerned Ape, if you guys don't know, is the developer for Stardew Valley, which is another massive indie game, one of the biggest indie games out there. So Concerned Ape said that in case you missed it, PC Game Pass and Windows Store owners, the Stardew Valley 1.6.2 update is available. Hey, quick question, why not wait for all platforms to be ready? It's not like we're noticed. For once, this is inevitably be bugs that weren't caught before release, and they can quickly be fixed on PC with same-day patches. On console, it can take weeks to get a patch through, so the PC first launch ensures that the game is stable enough for console launches. And they're not talking about a game launch, they're just talking about an update to the game, Stardew Valley 1.6, which added a lot of content. You can think of that update as a DLC pack to the game, basically. So porting a game to a different console is really hard, and it already took so long for Hollow Knight to come out on Switch alone, and then for the Void Heart edition, which was for Xbox and PlayStation, it came after that too. Like, it came way after Switch as well. They didn't launch on all the consoles at the same time, let alone launch on every platform at the same time. And I believe that this is the #1 reason that the game still isn't out yet. Not only do they have to make sure the game runs perfectly fine on PC, not only is the game probably much bigger in scope than Hollow Knight ever was, they have to make sure it performs well on every console, especially the outdated system that is Switch. It's much easier for a developer like Metroid Dread to have their game run at a smooth 60 FPS on Switch, because A, Metroid Dread is not an indie publisher, it's a full developing studio behind it, like a big studio behind it, and B, they're only releasing their game for the Switch, so they only have to optimize for Switch. Team Cherry being a developer of only 3 people, and they're porting their game to all these major consoles, and now they even have to think about next gen versus last gen. I believe that that is the single core reason of why Silksong is still not out even 1 full year after it's been delayed. Here's another person on the Reddit talking about it. What about the ports? I might be wrong about this, but I think Silksong is supposed to be out on PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox all at launch, right? They hired another studio to take care of Switch port for the game, but I don't remember hearing anything about anyone else helping port Silksong to other platforms. Shovel Knight King of Cards got delayed by a few years just because they had to port it to like 10 different consoles. Could this be one of the reasons why the game is taking so long to come out? Why does no one talk about it? It seems pretty important. And I agree with them. Like, I don't see many people talk about this at all. Even in my stream, most people were like, oh, they're probably still adding content to the game, yada yada yada, that's why it's been taking so long. But the more I've thought about it, the more I think that this is the biggest reason of why Silksong still isn't out yet, and I feel like if Silksong was just a PC release, we might as well have gotten it last year. I want to know what you guys think about my theory. On another note, I made this tweet out today, and it's basically saying how often we are getting updates from Mongoose Rodeo, and the reason for that is they've basically told their developers that they got a lot more funding than they were expecting, so they're gonna continue development of Crowsworn for a long time right now, and do not expect Crowsworn for a long time. But in return, what they do is, instead of just focusing on development, because they know it's going to take a while, they give their community a lot of updates on Twitter. They're so active and interactive with their community, and it's not just Let who does it, because if you guys don't know, Let also does marketing and PR for Crowsworn, just like he does for like Silksong. But it's rarely ever that you will hear something new from Let. All Let does is he reposts the stuff that Mongoose Rodeo put out themselves on their own Twitter account, which is what everyone has been begging Team Cherry to do. Now, of course, at this point, we are way past that. That ship has long sailed, and that's something Team Cherry should have done like at the start of the game. That's an approach they should have taken way back. I feel like now it's way too late for that, of course, but it's just something that maybe the developers should keep in mind when they make their third game, whatever that's gonna be, which probably is gonna be the Fearless Fox game that they're gonna make. Speaking of Crowsworn, I've been really interested in that game lately. Mongoose Rodeo keep putting out all these updates. I'm not really familiar with that game a lot, except that it's a cool gothic setting. It's a really nice Metroidvania, very stylish and all. So what I plan to do today, I have a really important work meeting at about 1 PM in my time. After I'm done with that, so around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing a live stream where I want to go over everything Crowsworn. We're gonna scour their Kickstarter page, we're gonna watch all their trailers, we're gonna go through their major updates, we're gonna see what the developers are saying, what the community is saying, and get acquainted with Crowsworn. So if you're interested in that, you can join me in about 3 hours. We'll be live here on YouTube looking at Crowsworn. That's it for me today. Happy 1 year delay anniversary. Primacon out.